what about the power quality on the electrical wiring? I live on one side.
Yeah.
And I don't know which way the energy travels from the transformer through the community back to the transformer. I don't know whether it starts going west or starts going east. So it depends, you know, I live on the east side, so of course I'm concerned that I would be the next house, that the energy would be traveling that way.
Mm-hmm.
But tell me about any problems that might result from having more pulsed modulated radio frequency signals on the electrical wiring.
Yeah, it can go all over the place. You know, if you've got an inverter that's generating dirty electricity, then it'll go right through the whole complex. It doesn't really matter where the transformer is or which way the wiring is. And the transformer is a good point because the transformers that are recommended when you build a solar photovoltaic power plant, they're actually called electrostatic transformers. And they're always specified when they build out these massive solar power plants. And most transformers are not electrostatic transformers. And what that basically means is you're generating electronic energy at your inverter. You're then feeding it through the wiring out to the transformer, it gets to the transformer, and this dirty energy passes straight through the transformer. And when you've got an electrostatic wound transformer, it acts as a filter, and it blocks that radiation from going out to the grid and going out to everybody else in the area. And that's one of the problems that you guys probably don't realize that you're creating in this area, is that the dirty electricity problems don't stop at your complex. They go out onto the grid and they go to everybody else. And that's how you prevent them. You basically get the utility to put electrostatic transformers in, so that your electronically generated energy that has harmonic energy in it, which is transients and noise from the electronic switching, you want to prevent that from going out to the people that are on the grid, and you do that with electrostatic transformers. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're designed to mitigate these problems. And as far as I'm aware, you know, certainly the general utility system in America does not have electrostatic transformers. So yeah, it's definitely an issue.
Well, just talking about my house, if there are high frequency transients and surges on my electrical wires because of 25 or so panels on the roof here with the inverter, how would that affect the environment within my home?
Yeah, you know, if you've got an inverter and that inverter is producing dirty electricity, and you're the closest person to it, you're going to get the worst dirty electricity effects.
Well, she'd be on the opposite side. The inverter would be on the west side, and her house is on the east side.
Where's the fuse box for this building?
On the west side.
On the west side here, about 40 feet away.
And do you know which direction the wiring runs from that now? You got no idea?
I think it goes down in the ground and then probably to this building.
And do you know whether Libby's home is fed from over there?
No, it's
Well,
not. It comes from the gate that you came through.
Okay.
That's
This
where
is-
the
So
transformer-
I've noticed you've got like outbuildings out there, haven't
Yeah.
you? So is there like a distribution panel there that feeds out to every home? Yeah.
Yes, there's a transformer in the parking lot, and then there's two more here at the gate that bring it to the east side.
Okay.
But
So
this is a separate system.
Yeah.
To the common house.
So this system basically goes all the way out to the front, it doesn't go to any other homes?
Right.
That's right.
Okay.
Dedicated to this building.
Well, that helps in Libby's situation
I'd
because,
like to see a schematic of that because I'm not sure I understood the
Yeah.
answer.
but certainly, you know, if it has to go from this building through a transformer
Right.
out to the front and then back through another transformer to Libby's home, that would certainly mitigate some of the dirty electricity effects that you may get from an inverter. And you know, there's so many different inverters out there that they're all different.
Right.
And some produce really good electrical energy, and others, they're not so good.
Right.
And you don't really know what you're getting until you install it, because they keep changing the designs of these inverters. And you know, an inverter that you bought last year may be quite different to the inverter you bought this year, because the technology keeps changing.
The one you did test for us, how did that appear to you?
You know, the central inverter tested the best. By far, it had the least amount of fields that I could find coming out of the system. The microinverter tested the worst, and we had some email dialogue about this. Basically, there was a lot of radio frequencies in that home with the microinverter system. And we could not establish during the time as to whether it was coming from the microinverter system or whether it was something else in the home, because you just need one toxic product in the home and the whole home wiring will start radiating radio frequencies.
Okay.
And you can pick that up on a standard AM radio tuned to static,
Right.
so no radio station. And what you'll hear is just elevated levels of radio static. And that's what I was detecting in that home. Wherever I went, there was elevated levels of radio static, both upstairs, downstairs, and it was even throughout the garden. So it was kind of unusual for it to be going so far out. I kind of wonder whether it was coming up from the ground, because this is a problem with electrical grounding systems, is that they're made to electrify the ground. So when your electrician comes along and he pounds in 2 ground rods, he's electrifying the ground, and that electrification goes for about 100 feet. So if your grounding system is giving off a lot of radio frequencies, then it will start coming up out of the ground as you're walking around with an AM radio. And it may not be coming from the air, it may be coming up. And I kind of wonder whether that was why I was picking up so much radio frequency at that property, was because the ground was radiating that radio frequency from the grounding system. So.
How would that be fixed?
You would have to find the source of wherever was putting the radio frequencies onto the grounding system. As I say, it could be anything. And one of the interesting things that we found when we tested the central inverter system was that it had the same problem. So I was walking through the whole home with this AM radio, and the radio was going absolutely crazy wherever I went in that home. And I said to the guy, have you got anything switched on in this house other than the inverter system? And he said, you know what, my garage lights are on, the fluorescent lights in the garage. He went into the garage, he turned off the fluorescent lights, and the radio just went totally quiet. And so his fluorescent lights were causing the entire home to be filled with elevated levels of AM radio static. And that's why I say, you just need one device on the electrical system that is contaminating the grounding system and the wires in the home, and the whole home will be radiating radio frequencies. And extended exposure to that may actually make you quite sick. So you may end up with radio wave sickness and
Just a
ultimately
quick follow-up
hypersensitivity.